Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Call of Cthulhu, an attempt to make a modern Lovecraftian horror game. Should you heed this call, or will it only bring insanity? Let's find out. Call of Cthulhu is a horror game with some light puzzle and immersive sim elements, inspired partially by the pen and paper RPG of the same name, which in turn is rooted in Lovecraftian horror of old gods and madness. You play as Pierce, a private detective sent to investigate the death of the Hawkins family. The wife, Sarah, seems to have an odd skill of her paintings predicting the future, and the distribution of these paintings around her island of Darkwater led to some very strange occurrences. Pierce's initial research into what caused the family's death quickly spirals into a Lovecraftian cult, interdimensional monsters, and of course, madness. The story starts incredibly strong, with the investigation interesting and the town just weird enough that you know something's not quite right. As things devolve, it becomes more or less predictable, however, as if you have any familiarity with how Lovecraftian stories play out, there's not a ton of surprises here. The gameplay itself is what I call an upgraded walking simulator. At the start of the game, you'll set various stats for Pierce, like strength, investigation, and psychology, and more. As you complete more of the game, you'll gain more points to continue leveling these attributes, and these various stats are used for skill checks across certain points in the game. The core gameplay mechanic is investigation. Pierce will explore various items, which will give details on whatever mystery he's currently investigating, and these are added to notes to be used later. You can also basically recreate scenes in his head to investigate should they be more important, proving even further insight. A fun gimmick is the more thorough you are in your investigation, the more topics you can bring up in dialogue with characters, using your evidence to basically own them Phoenix Wright style, and oftentimes forcing characters to open up more if you found something they wish you hadn't. Aside from investigation, the game tosses a whole ton of different mechanics at you, with most honestly not being that great. Stealth is a big part during certain chapters, where you'll avoid guards or horrors, but it's very basic and honestly just kind of sucks. You also get a gun for a short period of time near the end of the game and can go doom on some possessed guys, but you have very limited ammo, and it's not like the shooting's amazing. The game has a small number of puzzles that often block your progress, though like the stealth, I'd classify them as just okay, nothing really to write home about. They're also extremely easy, so don't expect to be overly challenged. And really, that's Call of Cthulhu, a story-driven immersive sim light, where you'll try to uncover the secrets of this weird island while not falling to madness yourself. So what did I like about Call of Cthulhu? Well, the game absolutely drips with atmosphere, from the foggy docks, the grimy and surreal caves, the creepy mansions, and otherworldly events. When it comes to the set dressing, this game nails it. Additionally, the investigation and immersive sim bits were easily my favorite part, as being rewarded in dialogue with more options based on how much I explored or used my knowledge of the occult to talk my way out of a situation was immensely satisfying and made me feel in control of the story. And speaking of the story, as mentioned, the first half of this game absolutely nails the mystery aspect, making what's happening in Darkwater Island immediately compelling and really making me want to dig deep into the supernatural mysteries of this bizarre island town. When it comes to the bad, this game has tons of half-fleshed out gameplay elements, from the stealth being really undercooked, puzzles never quite being great, and even the stat system feeling less important as the game progresses. Additionally, while the atmosphere is fantastic, most of the Lovecraftian elements feel only skin deep, with it never taking a deep enough dive into the existential horror that is associated with the mythos, and instead landing on tentacles on faces. And lastly, while the story does start interesting, it stumbles more than a little bit towards the end, mostly because Pierce doesn't get fleshed out enough for the events in the game to directly impact him in meaningful ways. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Call of Cthulhu is a messy game, but despite that, I found it really hard to put down. The immersive sim-light puzzles and dialogue interactions made me want to experiment, the investigation portions were intriguing, and was all wrapped in enough atmosphere to keep things delightfully unnerving. While it is unfortunate the gameplay overall is rudimentary, and most of its Lovecraftian elements are surface level at best, if you enjoy the aesthetic of Lovecraft and want to dive into a mystery rich with adventure, there is still a lot to enjoy with Call of Cthulhu. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played or heard of Call of Cthulhu, let me know what you think in the comments, and regardless, go out there and maybe give Call of Cthulhu a look.